Good afternoon. Today is June 13th, and you are listening to the live feed of the Indigified podcast, sponsored by the Great Plains Action Society, right here on KWTN 100.9 FM, Allen, Nebraska, the Big Voice Radio, official radio station of the Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska. As always, all opinions shared are not a reflection of the Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska, the Big Voice radio station, or the Great Plains Action Society.
What's up, everyone?
Hey.
We're back now.
We're back.
We're back. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about blood quantum. But before we do that, I'm going to swing it over to Monica to do the mental health check-in.
I really love when you're like, I'm going to swing it over to Monica to do the mental health check-in, because then I'm like, okay, so how are you?
It just goes right back to me.
I know, just switches right back.
Do you have any of those cool icebreaker questions?
Actually, I do. Do you want to do that first?
Yeah, let's do that.
So it's less of an icebreaker, and it's this or that.
Ooh.
Okay.
Are
you ready?
All right.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I'm a tea person.
I am definitely a coffee person.
Shout out to Sweetwater Cafe.
Hey, Sweetwater. We're still looking for sponsors. No,
Ashley. We're looking for sponsors. Talk to your people.
Send them my way. No.
But you used to never drink coffee or what?
Yeah, I never used to like coffee like that. And I don't know, so I am undiagnosed with ADHD, but I do feel that I fit the criteria.
She's like, I diagnosed myself.
I definitely, well, that's a whole nother thing too. I know you're not, ethically, you're not supposed to do that, but,
Self-diagnosed.
That was my whole degree, was on psychology and mental health. It was in my minor or whatever.
Right.
And so I'm like, dang it. Yeah. I fit some of these criteria. And so I heard that coffee has great benefits for folks that do have ADHD, that it does actually help counter some of the things. And so and also too, I used to be a big pop drinker, and I still do. I still like my, my pop here and there, but I try to not drink it as much. And so coffee is my main thing that I can consume and just feel like that's kind of a natural way to do that instead of just pumping all the sugar and things like that. But I do like my iced caramel macchiatos and things like that. So, I mean, So what, and you like tea?
Okay. So my preference is tea, but recently I've started drinking more coffee, but the bougie coffee, like you said, I love me a frappe. But even then, my favorite drink from coffee spots is an iced chai tea latte. So then it's both.
Me too.
They're so good, right? It tastes like Christmas.
It does. It really does.
Even when it's cold, it's just this tastes like Christmas.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so the next one is, do you like to bring your own lunch or do you like to order lunch?
Man, my preference is I would like to bring my own lunch, but sometimes I get so busy and it's I have to resort to ordering lunch.
Right.
And I feel like in Sioux City, we don't have a really lot of choices of healthy eating.
I know.
And it's a big bummer because I am trying to be mindful of what I eat and, just trying to work out. And then it's the diet part, or the eating, I should say the eating part, because that's a whole nother conversation on diets.
Yes, I know.
So I would prefer bringing my own lunch, but also in a busy world that I live, I end up resorting to ordering out really unhealthy food, and then I have to suffer the consequences of it.
Right, yeah. So I'm definitely a order lunch person. One of my ways around, because I don't do fast food. If I want fast food, I have to really want it, and then I'll grab it. But when I order food, I'm really big on ordering from family-owned restaurants. So DeKalb in Sioux City is my favorite. I eat there once a week. They should sponsor us because I give them so much money. I really like the Indian restaurants. There's 2 of them in Sioux City. They're both good. But yeah, so it's kind of like my way of getting healthier options. And then neither one of those restaurants are real expensive either. Like
no, they're really good. And they give you a generous portion. So my real bougie lunch that's like expensive, and I'm like, dang, is sushi. Oh yeah, sushi is really good.
Yeah, but it's so expensive, and I'm like, it's like 7 pieces.
Have you ever made sushi? Like,
no, I've never made it. I really want to make that sushi bake. Have you seen it on TikTok? So it's a sushi bake. It has all the ingredients of a sushi, and then you bake it.
You bake it. That's interesting.
Yeah, you bake it, and then they just take the nori, like the seaweed, and they just kind of like how you eat like tacos. Yeah, you just like grab little pieces of it.
Right on.
Yeah, so maybe
Isn't
I should try
sushi cold
that.
though? Like
So
normally?
it depends on the roll that you get. Like, so I get a roll that has like shrimp tempura in it, and so the shrimp tempura is fried fresh, so that's warm inside the roll. But then like the avocado and the cream cheese is cold. Now I want sushi.
Right. Now we're going to Crave.
Yeah.
And splurging.
Let's go. Their crab cakes are so good.
Yes. Oh, I love Crave. I do. But it's so expensive. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that.
So there's a bunch of more ones, but maybe I'll save them for another day because I like how we really conversated about the answers. Just got lost. This episode is called This or That.
Start talking about food.
Yeah. So mental health check-in, I'm doing really good. I'm getting back consistent in the gym, which, for me, that's such a big boost to my mental health in general. So I'm getting back consistent. This morning I got up at like 5 o'clock. That's really overdoing it. I don't know what I was doing, but I was up and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I was like, okay, let me go to the gym. I went, and then afterwards I took my dog, Saint, shout out.
Hey.
I took Saini out on like a 7-mile walk, girl. We went down to the river.
Dang,
yeah, I didn't
out
even
there.
Yeah, I was almost to like the Dakota Dunes.
Dang, okay. You guys were up.
I know. I was
you guys
like,
were up.
The interstate sign was right there, and I was like, dang, I'm like right next to Riverside. This is crazy. Let me turn around. Where are we going?
Walk to a whole nother state.
I was like, what was the goal of this? Like, we need to go home. This is too much. This is why I shouldn't wake up that early.
It's funny.
Yeah, so I feel really good. I feel really good about everything that's going on. I feel like I'm always like, yeah, and I got like new opportunities. But I worked on a project with you yesterday, and I'm super excited for that to like come to the air and everybody see it. That's going to be amazing. But that was like a big one for me. I don't know if you know it. I was crying about it last night. Real crybaby. Because I was like,
everybody's going to see.
I know.
Everybody's gonna
and then
see.
I was just like, dang, like such a big opportunity. And then to be, to represent like our community and our culture, like in that way, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I know, and I want to tell everybody, but I'm like, I'm waiting.
I know,
like,
I don't want to spoil it. Like, oh my gosh.
I know. Even on social media, I'm just like, okay, let me be quiet. Like, like I posted like a little picture. So like, some my people that are on like Snapchat have an idea, but they don't know what it's for, what's going to be done with it. And I'm just like, you guys
I'm
have
excited.
no idea.
All I can say is just make sure you're mindful of some billboards in Sioux City or the Siouxland area. And then also, too, we have our powwow. So the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives powwow for next month, July 14th through the 16th. And you'll
tell everyone
you might see a familiar face on some promo stuff. So
just really told everything on the cool. I don't know, maybe.
Maybe you will.
But yeah, make sure you tell everybody it's going to be a great powwow, and it's for a good cause. We just had our episode about MMIR, so if you're not familiar with it, you can backtrack to. It wasn't our last episode. No, it was way back on May 5th, right? Yeah. So a couple episodes ago, you can find us on all your streaming platforms. Our lives stay on the Winnebago, the Big Voice Facebook page, so you can scroll through there and find them. But
yes.
Okay. So Miss Trisha Rivers.
I know. I'm still getting used to, like, I catch myself when people are trying to ask me to introduce myself, and I'm like, Trisha Etch, and then I'm like, wait, no, it's not that. It's
Right.
Trisha Rivers now.
I know.
So it's still very brand new, but I'm
very fresh.
I'm still trying to like decompress about all of what it means, and so
So how is your mental health? How are you doing?
man, my mental health is really great. But I'm also like really stressed out because I have like 5 million projects to do, and it's like trying to do it in the midst of planning the powwow, and so I just know that I have to give myself some patience and grace, and
Right.
Hopefully that everybody that is working currently with me on different projects understands that I didn't put you on the back burner. I have a lot of stuff to juggle, and it will get done. It's just trying to make time for everything and make sure that everything is going to be successful, and so I really do. I need like an extra set of hands that can help me juggle some of these things. And then I unofficially, or I guess, I don't know how you say that, unofficially made my announcement that I will be running for the Sioux City School Board.
I'm so excited.
And I'm really terrified.
I know you're always, you psych yourself out, but you're going to do so good.
I think that I am a good candidate for that. And obviously it's needed. And I'm excited to even just have the lived experience of running a campaign and being a source of information for anybody else that wants to pursue that, that political pathway, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. And then what was it? Last week, I was in Missoula, Montana for the United Today, Stronger Tomorrow, for the Small Town Summit. Really great. I got to meet a lot of people. I presented on Indigified. I named the workshop Indigified. And I got to say, like, this is where it came from.
Right.
So I mentioned you and the whole story behind it. And so basically it was just a workshop dedicated to talking about decolonization and how to have those uncomfortable conversations, but also how do you, make space, especially in organizing spaces, how do you make those spaces inclusive to everybody and not just just the like the white folk, if you will,
right?
Just like the main narrative. Like, how do you actually get through those uncomfortable conversations with the same people that make up your community? So it was really good. It was just amazing, and I met a lot of people from the state of Iowa that are doing amazing things in the state of Montana. So it was really interesting, but it was really good.
Almost like a culture shock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't so much a culture shock. I think it was more of like, we finally have a space together where we all can talk about similar things and similar challenges and barriers when it comes to like building power. And hopefully the message was very clear to some of the sponsors that put on the event or help make it happen, that it does need to continue. So so it was really good. I really loved it. But amidst everything, my mental health is actually doing pretty good. I started working out yesterday. I get to these points where I'm like really busy, and then I just put it on the back burner because I'm like, no, this has to get done, and I need to do this, and then I'm like in a state where I'm like, I'm depressed because I'm so busy, but like I need to work out because I need to let that stress go, and then that keeps me going.
And then boost your serotonin.
Yeah.
Your endorphins, the happy chemicals.
But aside from that, my legs hurt. And I don't know what I was trying to do yesterday, but no, everything is pretty good in my world though. So yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, I can't wait to see you sitting on the school board. And then when I go to the school board committees and I'm asking all these questions, I'm going to be like, this question is not for Trisha. This question is for everyone else.
I like that.
Because I need to know y'all's input.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
Cool. Right on. So we're talking about blood quantum.
Yes.
So
exciting.
What is blood quantum?
What is blood quantum? So blood quantum is the measurement for Native American blood per person. So it's measured in fractions. So, kind of weird because I'm not a fraction. I'm a whole person. but yeah, so blood quantum was put in place as a response to the land allotments originally, I believe. I'm not a history major, nor am I a science major, but we finna get real scientific today. So that's my understanding of blood quantum. It's the measurement of Native American blood, or I believe like in documents, it's Indian blood is the term that they use. So it's the measurement of Indian blood that a person has.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is interesting because when we were talking about Black History Month, right? So talking about the U.S. Constitution and who is human and who is not considered human.
Right.
Then you have blood quantum, and then you're also putting a fraction, 3/4 of a Black person was considered a person.
Right.
When really they termed it as like you're a slave and you're somebody's property. And yeah, you're somewhat of a person, but you're not a whole person.
Right.
So
it's an interesting topic. It ties into so much. Like really this could be like a 2-part conversation, honestly, because I'm like looking at the clock and I'm like, dang, we're already down to 40 minutes. I have so much. I know, I have so much to say. Darn sushi.
No, so blood quantum is definitely, from my perspective, from what I understand, blood quantum is actually a tool to remove rights from Native Americans.
Right.
Because that was the whole design of the whole system itself or the concept of having Indian blood, which is so weird to me because like anywhere else, I don't think that's a thing.
Nobody is measured by, besides horses.
And dogs.
Dogs are measured,
and we're
too.
Definitely not horses. We're not dogs. We shouldn't even be equated to that.
Right.
But also, too, I know the other side of the argument is that it's good because then we don't have the pretendian issue happening. So maybe we have somebody with a little bit of, lineage, but then they're out here taking opportunities and things from actual native people that, have lived on reservations or off or, just full-blooded Indians, right? So I understand both sides of the spectrum.
Right.
So what do you think as far as, what is a good way to approach the blood quantum, like on both sides? Like, where's a happy medium?
I don't know that a happy medium exists. I personally am on the side of no more blood quantum. I feel like there's a reason that our ancestors had this basis of kinship versus, how much percent are you or what's your fraction? That's not something that's indigenous to us. That's not something that we practiced. So I would love to see us go back to kinship. Essentially we use kinship to prove our quantum anyways. But I don't know. I don't like the idea of families being like phased out because it's 2023. I'm mixed. I'm of multiple races, not even just 2. I've got like 4 races in me, so at some point, what I mean? My family will phase out and we won't be able to enroll anymore. So that's just like, I don't know, that's so sad to me because I couldn't imagine not being an enrolled member. You know what I mean? But if my blood quantum was any lower, then, I might not even be here today because I might not feel like a part of the community.
Right.
Even though, my grandma.
Everybody sees you and seen you grow up.
Right. And my grandma's full-blooded Winnebago, like my granddad was full-blooded Santee, so it's just like, I don't know. I mean, why am I getting emotional?
Well, I mean, that's a real thing though, is like, it is an emotional, like it's very.
That like idea of displacement or like the erasure. Yeah, like feeling erased from my culture because I don't have a certain fraction. Like, I don't know, that's crazy to me. But kinship can be proved, you know, it can be shown through family trees. And so I'm just like, I don't know. But, yeah, but I don't know. I just like, I have so many opinions on it and so many like, you know, because then there's that idea of like the genetic testing. And like, you know, you have 23andMe and Ancestry.com that does the swabs and they'll tell you what % you are, but not to get all conspiracy theory, but I'd be listening to like different podcasts where the genealogists are up there. So people who actually study the physiological components of genes and they completely disagree with those testing. And there was one that I was listening to and I wish I knew what it was, but it was a Native American genealogist, woman too, which, you know, power to her. Yeah. Where she just straight up was like, I do not encourage Native American people to do these testings. She was like, because say you do a testing and your test comes back as 24.8% Native American. She was like, that can be used against you. That's not a quarter blood. Yeah. Yeah. That's,
so interesting because I have a personal story about that.
But yeah. And then like, they were explaining that there's like, I don't know, I think it's something like 20,000 genes and really only like 1% can be looked at. And even then, like any genealogist will tell you that you cannot configure the race of a person based off their genes. And I was like, I always wanted to do one of those. I was like, I'm not going to do one now. Let me come back 23.2%. I'm going to be like, oh my gosh. My life is over. Everything's, I got to turn in my tribal ID. I got to go public. I got to tell everybody. Sorry, guys. My whole life is a lie. No wonder I'm so light skinned. I don't know where these cheekbones came from.
That's a whole nother discussion in itself, you know.
Yeah.
So my personal story on this is, okay, so we all know that I'm adopted, and if you don't know, I'm adopted.
Now you know.
Now you know. And so, yeah, so not growing up and having the cultural upbringing and all the traditions, songs, things, you know, that make us Ho-Chunk, right? That's who, you know, I'm enrolled Ho-Chunk, and I also have ancestral ties to the Pima, Meskwaki, and Ojibwe. So there's that, okay? So fast forward, I'm reconnecting, and for the longest time, I believe my Choka, Ernst Ace Walker, was 1/4. He was recorded as 1/4, but recently there was a mistake.
Ooh.
And so it went down. His blood count went down for like how much Ho-Chunk he is. Oh, okay. So therefore, my blood quantum for Ho-Chunk blood was 3/16. Oh. Yeah. So, but overall, you know, I'm native, you know, like, I have all this.
You have multi lineages. Yeah.
And so had it been that the Winnebago tribe honored still by the 1/4 rule instead of lineage, that would have disenrolled me from everything. And it's almost, it is very emotional to think about that, if that truly would have happened, because I'm in the process of enrolling my son, which he hasn't been able to get enrolled because of this discrepancy. And so it just came as a big shock. And I was like, wow, like I literally, if we would still follow this 1/4 rule, I would not be enrolled with the Winnebago tribe. Based off of that.
Which is major.
It is, because like my whole entire upbringing from 12 on was centered around what does it mean to be Ho-Chunk? You know, what is it? And then, you know, meeting all my family and things like that. So to me, it was very personal. Like when we talk about blood quantum, I share that story because I'm like, it just really, it's heartbreaking that we still use this system, but I understand. Like I get it, but at the same time, like these are really very harmful concepts to put into place.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it were to be, you know, because I think the Winnebago tribe is also having discussions of, you know, everybody that is enrolled to go to full blood.
Mm-hmm.
So 4-4, but you wouldn't lose all your other lineages. Like
right.
it would still be there. I think that is a great idea. But I do think that it does warrant to learn about the Ho-Chunk history,
right,
and your language and your culture,
mm-hmm.
and to really know what it means to be Ho-Chunk
and know your role in our community.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely a proponent of moving away from the blood quantum system itself.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's
like,
going to take some time to get to that point.
Right.
It's just wild to me because it's like, how many other nations out there also do the same thing? Because you don't see like the Black community doing that. You don't see necessarily the immigrant community. Like immigrants have to take a citizenship test,
right,
to get to be even recognized as a citizen.
Right.
So I think in the same conversation or topic, like we should also do that too if we're going to have that conversation. So
have like a class that you take where you learn about your tribal roots, and then like, you know, real Native American history, not what they teach us in school, and then being able to like recite it and actually know it to where you can test on it. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And it just really humbled me because I was like, oh, okay, like that could have really happened. So what would have happened to my kids and, you know, all of that. And, you know, do I enroll with Meskwaki then? Because I think they are a patrilineal. I don't know if I said that right. But there's rules and guidelines and things like that, which I still don't agree with that either.
Right.
You know, I don't agree with that system at all.
Right.
But again, these are, you know, things that have been put into place for a very long time. And
the 1800s.
Yeah. And I'm like, blood quantum is not even our concept. It's not even, this was definitely a tool to remove us from our lands, our identity, and our power, and who we are as Native nations.
And so that the government didn't have to provide as much resources, right? And then like tying back to like land allotment, there's a certain amount of time that your land stays in trust based off your blood quantum. Like it's such a, what do they call it? Like when you get on YouTube and you get into like a weird area of YouTube, it's like a black hole of like
like a rabbit hole.
Yeah, a rabbit hole. That's what it is.
That's almost me every night.
Right.
I was like,
gosh. It's like when you try to learn about it and whatnot, it's a rabbit hole of information because there's just so much. There's so many different regulations that were built off of the idea of blood quantum, but none of those regulations or concepts are to benefit us.
Right.
Yeah. It's to erase us.
Yeah.
It's to remove us.
It's exactly
it's
what
to,
it is.
you know, they gave us these reservations, but then
prisoner camps. I call them prisoner camps.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, that's what had happened is they had put us on reservations, and then blood quantum came in place, and then if you weren't of half blood, then they would take that land back. It didn't go back to the tribe. It went back to the government, and then their initiative was to sell it to non-native people, you know? So, yeah. And did you know, here's I go.
Go, girl.
Here I go with my rabbit hole. Did you know that in like the 1920s, they started doing like a study where they would try to prove that we weren't of half blood by like measuring our heads and measuring. Yes, I'm telling you, the rabbit holes that I went through. They would measure like the circumference of our heads. They would like judge like our hair texture and like just like the weird, like as if like we all were just one, as if we were all of one feature. Like we all had the same features, and if anything was off, then they would like deduct like points. It was like a point system, girl. Like
that crazy.
Yes. And so there was like this one family.
By the U.S. government.
By the U.S. government. So
Of
it was
course.
a study. And there was this one family where they were all of kinship, right? And it was like out of this like entire lineage, they only found 22 of those people to be, I think it was 22, I don't know, it's been a while, but it was like 20, around 20, 22, something like that. They only found 22 out of like 60 people to be of half-blood, but these were all people that were related. So it's like, imagine how many people are out there who are of Native American descendants, but they have no idea because their people were removed based off of blood quantum. Mic drop.
That's really...
Yes.
Oh, wow. Because I feel like had I not... So my situation of what happened was my auntie adopted me.
Right.
So, but now I'm thinking like, what if I ended up in the foster care system and didn't even have the link back?
Right.
You know, where would that... Yeah, that's... Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. That is a... Ooh, chilly.
It's a heavy topic.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, there's just so much with it, with blood quantum. I just think that, you know, blood quantum to be equated to other animals, like, it's just so weird to me.
It is weird.
It should, and that should be a big red flag.
That's the only other group of living species that is measured like that.
Right.
They're not even humans.
Yeah.
And so I guess that raises my question for you, right? Because we do have people who pretend to be Native American and what do they call that? What's the term?
Pretendian?
No, not that. Shoot, you were ready.
I was like, I'm ready.
You were ready.
Let's go there.
Let's go. What's the term when you try to take something from someone's culture and make it your own?
Appropriate?
Yeah. So minus like the idea of other people appropriating our culture, what does blood quantum protect us from?
I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, what is blood
like I can't think of anything because I'm like, okay, like what is the chapter for schools where they get like funding for Native American students?
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's a whole nother. No, it's title.
Title.
6.
Title,
six.
chapter. You know, I know it's a part of a book.
I love that.
It was close, you guys.
Title 6. So Title 6 and like the Johnson O'Malley. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So as far as like what does blood quantum really protect us from? I think it is in a way pretendianism. But so I'm just going to lay this out. So I am a part of the parent advisory committee for Sioux City School District, and there's a native, you know, whatever, it's all native,
Right.
and we have these conversations, I feel like every meeting, and we're losing funding because our numbers are down.
Right.
However, there's still natives in, like, there's still a big number of native children,
Right.
native students that go to the Sioux City School District, but it ties to that one issue of having the CIB, so the Certificate of Indian Blood.
Yes.
And so a lot of these children don't receive the needed resources, and like, you know, if they want to do band or if they want to do sports or anything like that, it helps them with reimbursement, it helps families, you know, and it's there to help them overall.
Right.
And we always run into this as far as like, this is a huge problem because a lot of our native students don't receive the funding because it's all in that blood quantum.
Right.
And I think the guidelines goes, it's if you have a grandparent that does have a CIB or whatever, then they'll honor that. But still, if that grandparent, so like, let's, for instance, what happened to me, right? Let's say I'm in the school and, you know, I can prove my lineage, and then, oops, we have a discrepancy, and now my grandfather isn't, you know, the qualified fraction of, you know, Ho-Chunk blood.
Right.
What happens then, you know?
You're right. Do you become a removed member?
And I feel like, you know, I'm sure there's different ways to address that, but it's just overall, like, it's just a big hassle, you know, and a lot of our kids still need help. They need help, resources, and a system that's really going to be there for them to help them succeed, especially in education.
Right.
So I'm so glad you brought that up, because I feel like a lot of the urban natives, we get kind of like, you know, kind of get the cuts from stuff. And I know that it's, you know, there's different challenges with that. So jurisdictional, sometimes it's only like, it's not only, sometimes it is lateral violence against our own people of, you know, being like, well, you live in the city, you chose to be there. But also if I stay on the reservations where there's not a lot of opportunities, or, you know, there's
resources. Yeah.
And maybe there is a lot of violence, or maybe, you know, just in the home itself, you know, maybe there isn't a safe environment for me. So therefore I need to remove myself and go to the city to, you know, get the job, or
maybe you just need to chase your dreams. And there's not, you know, because like that's one thing, like a lot of reservations have like a bad, is it a bad rap or a bad rep?
Bad rap.
Yeah. So a lot of reservations have a bad rap, but like being from Winnebago, I don't have any complaints. I don't have any complaints from like my childhood. I don't have any complaints from when I'm down here. My relatives, I never hear my relatives complain. Well, you know, sometimes the elders do be complaining about the hospital transport. Okay.
That's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic.
That up.
We might need to bring
that up.
We might need to bring some guests on the show. We might need to address that. But honestly, that's the only thing that I ever hear complain about. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
But, you know, so sometimes it's not even like leaving the reservation because of like a negative stigma, but just because you have other dreams that you want to pursue, or you want to go to a different school. Maybe you have a favorite college and you just want to go there, like go and do it. You know, wasn't that like our very first episode, Chasing Dreams?
Chasing Dreams.
Yeah.
Chasing your dreams.
Yeah, season 1. I'm pretty sure it was episode 1. It was like our very first one. Yeah, so
actually episode 1 was small businesses.
It was small businesses,
but that does entail the chasing your dreams.
Chasing
and like
dreams. Yeah, so maybe it was like 2 or 3, but
either way it was in season 1.
Yeah, but either way, you know, so but yeah, I don't know, I guess that's like my biggest question when it comes to blood quantum, is from the Indigified perspective, what does it protect us from? Because by there not being blood quantum, will there no longer be Title 6? Is that what the name was?
Yeah, so Title 6 and Johnson O'Malley. I think you do raise a good point, because I feel like those are federal funding.
Right.
And I think the federal side of things, they need that to, you know, have their documentation or whatever.
They say they need it.
Right.
Because there's other cultural groups that get benefits within school systems, within, you know, public colleges, within, you know, there's all sorts of different benefits for different groups of people, but we're still the only ones that have to prove it.
Right. I think it ties back to federal policies. I mean, that goes back to like the Indian Removal Act,
right? All
the way up until like the Indian Reorganization Act, the land allotment. I think that's basically what it is. I think in a way, blood quantum would be a way for like, from a perspective of like land. Yeah. I think land. Oh man, that is a hard question that you pose, because I feel like, you know, as tribal nations, we have the argument that, we are native, and this is, you've documented it, you know, these things. So therefore, don't take our land, you know. But you've already stolen a majority of it. But don't take don't take the little land that we have left.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, when that land no longer has like a family to belong to, right? It can't be passed down anymore. Okay, let it stay within the tribe. Let it just be tribal grounds, and that the tribe decides what to do with it. You know, whether it's, you know, like out here we have all these new housing developments, and we have the farms and the softball fields and the daycare center, and like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like as tribal people, we can do so much with the land, and there's so many like impoverished nations that could do so much more if that land was staying within, I don't know what the words and what, like, within their hands. You know? Yeah, because I would like to see all tribal nations have a come up like Winnebago has. Are we the richest tribe? No.
No, hell no.
We're not. There's you know, there's some pretty wealthy tribes out there. But I can look back at like my toddler years, and I can remember there being a lot of dirt roads, and those roads are not dirt anymore. You know what I mean? I went to Head Start. What is it, like this building like right behind us?
What is it? YCIC? The Youth Crisis Intervention Center? Oh, Ho Chunk Renaissance?
My mom,
shout out to Ho Chunk Renaissance.
Because my mom had worked like in that building. I don't know what she did. That girl was always doing something. But she worked in that building, and I literally went to Head Start in the basement. You know what I mean? Now we have the whole, what is the child care center called? Out here. Educare. Yes.
Educare.
Thank you to Bethany.
I know. I was like, shout out to Bethany in the background.
She's all hidden over there, but she's got all the answers for us today. You know?
Dang, okay.
I remember I had came back for powwow, I don't know, maybe like 7 years ago. And when I saw the Educare building, I literally just like, and it was right after I got my new tribal ID, so I was like, I can let it go. I already got a cute picture. But I had cried so hard because I was like, man, I went to Head Start in a basement with like, I don't know, I want to say it was like 12 kids. I have a little class photo. But
that's cute.
I know, right? And then we did our graduation in the Whirling Thunder auditorium. Like, it's just so different. Everything's so different, but it's different because we've grown, but we've grown because of our own resources. We haven't, I don't know, I don't want to be wrong, but I feel like we didn't grow because of federal benefits. I feel like we grew because of the systems that we've put in place for ourselves and the businesses that we've developed.
The economic development.
There we go. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, so I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like all that ties back to blood quantum too, because what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question to you is,
hit me.
What do you think about families and different families within nations using blood quantum against each other?
Okay, exactly. Because hello, here I am. Here I am, real light skin, you know? And it's funny because I had times like growing up, because I'm adopted too, but my grandma was my mom. And so, and she's like, societal way, she's really my great aunt. She's my grandma's sister. And so my cousins became my brothers, which probably sounds crazy to people who don't understand like Native American family, you know, systems.
It's hard to have that conversation.
It's so hard. I'm like, yeah, it's my grandma. And they'll be like, oh, and then I'll be like, yeah. And then I gained 3 brothers, and they'll be like, wouldn't those be your uncles? And I'm like, no, because it's my grandma's sister. And so her kids were really my cousins. Right. Like,
you're really trying to like lay it out.
Yeah.
And,
and I'll be like, look, it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my brothers. But it was almost like I felt like the black sheep. And like, so I had figured out I was adopted on my own because my whole family is dark complected, dark haired. And then there's me, just little light girl. And I had like dirty blonde hair, you know, so I didn't fit in
to the status
quo.
I
didn't fit in the way that my family had looked. And that's how I figured out I was adopted, which is a whole nother story. But, I can't say that my family has ever been like, oh, you're only this much blood. You know what I mean? Like, no, my mom's been very teaching. She's made sure that I have all the proper teachings as a ThunderClan woman. She's made sure I understand my role, that I understand how things work as a woman in general, as a Native American woman in general, but definitely as a ThunderClan woman. But there's just that idea of like people outside of my family per se, where they'll be like, oh, you're not Native because you're light, or like, oh, how much Native are you? Do you go around and ask people how much, like, if you go up to a person who is unmelanated, right? Do you go up to them and be like, oh, how much Irish are you? How much German are you? How much Swedish are you? Like, no, you don't even ask that question. That's crazy.
But yeah. Also, too, what is that rooted in? When we feel like our skin tones
and our blood quantum.
Yeah. Like, why does it even matter, though?
Because this has been in place since the 1800s, and this is what we've accepted.
Right.
We've accepted it. We've felt forced to accept it. You know, all these things came into play. And I always get so upset.
Girl, go.
I always get so upset when we think about it from a historical level, because we did not speak their language. So these treaties that we signed, we did not read their language. Like, I don't know, it baffles me somehow, or sometimes, on like, how do these things still stay in place when, you know, we wouldn't go into a society of deaf people and speak to them and make them sign a paper.
Right. That's actually illegal.
It's unethical.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. This country was built unethically, and we were perfectly fine before all of these systems were put into place. And that's why I'm so passionate about kinship. I do not like blood quantum. I do not like that I have a CIB with a fraction on it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm not a fraction of a Native American.
It is. It's just a weird concept, because I'm just like, what part of me, like, literally, what physically part of me is this percentage? Like,
I'm like, well, it's not my eyes. It's definitely my cheekbones. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm pretty sure these feet are huge and they're not flat. So I'm pretty sure it's not those.
My Fred Flintstones.
Literally my Fred Flintstones. That's how I move my car. You know, or like,
it's hard out here.
Yeah. Stop. Or like, my grandma was real petite. She was real tiny. But then all of my uncles are huge. They're real tall. They were real tall, giant guys. So I'm
sounds
like
me.
Sounds like
just
me.
Described me.
Yeah, like, you know, so it's like, if we would have went back to when they were measuring us and comparing these physical features to measure if we were at least a half, I probably wouldn't have got that, because I'd been like, oh, she's a woman, but she's tall.
Right.
It's crazy.
I feel like evolution. So if we are in positions of power, whether it be tribal councils or, you know, advocates or whatever, we have the power to really look at what the blood quantum system is for what it is, where it was rooted from, and make decisions going forward for what's best overall for our tribal nations. And I just feel like, you know, I'm just little old me, and I don't, you know, it's hard. It's hard to be in a leadership position, because you may say something that people don't like or agree, but also, you know, you are making decisions that are going to affect generations, future generations, long after you're gone.
Right.
So I think today we see that there is a dwindling population count of natives. Yes. But we're still here, though.
We're still here.
We're still here. And yeah, and
we're having babies with other races, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, but that baby should not be forced to identify as their other race because their blood quantum is too low, when they know that one of their parents was Native American.
Yeah.
Or they have the teachings of being a Native American person, but they can't enroll.
Right.
You know, they can't be seen as part of their community on like a paper level.
What was it? I remember hearing, I heard this conversation. I won't name any names, but there was like this whole heated debate about, you know, well, you should just find somebody in your own tribe to have kids with. And I'm like, whoo, no, we did not just say that, because no, I'm not going to settle. First and foremost, I'm not going to settle.
Right.
So if the Native men in my community are not, you know,
what you're looking for,
I'm looking for, no, I'm not going to be subjected to all kinds of treatment that I don't believe that I personally deserve.
Right.
And that's not to say that Native men are all like that. I'm just saying,
Native
like,
men are beautiful.
There's a very small selection to choose from, especially within your own tribe, right?
Yes, because I'm related to everybody. And my mom has been telling me my whole life, oh, just find a Native man.
Yeah.
And, you know, and but I'm like, how? I'm related to everybody. Yes.
Right. And so that also, even in my own lineage, there was some things that happened that, you know, cousins were, you just
we're linking. They were linking up.
So, you know, and it's real. So like,
yeah,
that
and
is
sometimes
a real
you don't
thing.
even know. So it's like I completely avoid Winnebago and Santee men,
right?
Because some way, somehow, I'm
related
to you, and I can't get past that. And if I find out down the road that I'm gonna be like, oh my god, you know, me with my oh my god, we're related. Don't tell anyone.
Even though it was very public,
all right,
and everybody was like, "What are you doing?
What are you guys doing? You guys are third cousins." But yeah,
not making fun of situations that do happen, because that does happen.
Yeah,
it does happen.
And we're small communities, so it's like I get it, but also you know what I'm saying,
right?
Like I don't want that for myself,
right?
Yeah,
so, I totally agree, and yeah. So I think in conclusion, we do have tribal nations that are having the conversations about whether to continue on with the blood quantum system or not. I see both sides, but also I am a very big proponent of moving away from the blood quantum, because it was just never our system to begin with.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. The kinship systems were put into place for that. And that's how we knew who each other was, and, you know.
Or even there was a story that I had heard, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but it was something along the lines of when someone from a tribe would travel, right? Because we knew our grounds, we learned our grounds, and we would travel. When like warriors from different tribes would travel and they would come across another tribe and say it was like a peaceful tribe and there was offerings and there was trade that happened, that sometimes the warriors that went would stay there and they would be like adopted in to that tribe. They would learn their role. They would know what their job was within that community. They would learn that language, their ways, and then they just became a part of that community.
Chief War Eagle, perfect example.
Okay,
he was Santee, and then the Yankton adopted him because there was a lot of things that were happening in Santee Nation that I think it was like just a power dynamic between chiefs and you know, things like that. And so he removed himself from the tribe, and the Yankton, you know, basically adopted him. Right. And that's his story. Like, that's a very well known story in Sioux City, and we take pride in that. And we, you know, that's the fabric of Sioux City was Chief War Eagle and befriending the white man, basically. Right. So yeah.
But see, kinship, that's still kinship. Yeah. His relation started there. His relation didn't start because his grandma was 3/4 blood of an Indian.
Right. It's wild. It's wild to think about. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm big on kinship, but also the comments are available on the live feed on the Facebook page. You know, if you want to teach us something that we don't know, or you want to provide your opinion. I rewatch these videos like over and over again. I don't know. I
definitely am. Like, I love to hear other people's perspective and just gain a better understanding, maybe I didn't know something that,
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think this would be such a great thing for us to like, maybe we need to watch like the topics with like tribal council and just see when like that'll be brought up again. Cause I would love to be a part of that conversation.
Yeah. They actually had breakfast with tribal council and they brought that up.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The radio station? Or
Not-
who had breakfast?
Well,
I wanted breakfast.
The tribal council
Had breakfast?
and invited tribal members to come and speak on various issues.
I don't ever know nothing.
Right. But then I also feel like, I don't live on the reservation. So some of the things I don't feel like, I should necessarily say anything because I'm not here every day. But something like, blood quantum does affect me. And I see it affect other people in my community.
And it affects our future generations.
So,
the babies.
The babies.
Yes.
So hopefully... So shout out to Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska, and hopefully they will, do more of those, breakfasts or just spaces where tribal members can come. And, I thought it was a really great idea. I love that. I love,
I love that too, because I love to eat. I wish I would have known.
Right.
I would have loved to be a part of the conversation.
I
But
think
I'm like, oh, what is this, a bagel?
Yeah, our Eats did the whole
Catered
meal.
it.
Yeah. So
and I like our Eats.
Yeah,
Shout out to them.
But do you have anything else to conclude today's episode?
Closing remarks. Love our people. Embrace our people. Don't be a bully. Blood quantum, in my eyes, is not real. Our relations come from kinship. They come from who you know. When I go to Sweetwater Cafe, if I run into someone that recognizes me, we have a conversation about who our family is. We don't have a conversation of, whoa, what quarter Indian,
right?
What percentage of Indian blood are you? No, right. We embrace one another because we love one another off of the basis that we are Ho-Chunk people. And that should be enough. So,
right on.
Yeah.
All right. So next episode,
we're still figuring it out.
Yeah. So
we're having a change in episodes, so we don't know exactly what the episode will be. So it's going to be a surprise for y'all. Yay.
I love that. So you can check us out on YouTube. You can see us or listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio. There's Google and Apple Podcasts. We're on TuneIn. And yeah, we'll see you next week, and we'll definitely update you on what the topic is. So
peace out, Girl Scouts.